Hello guys, and welcome to the third episode of the War Thunder tank review series with Voyager. Today I want to take a look at the Russian Tier 4 IS-2, which is at a battle rating of 6.0. This tank is by many people considered like overpowered or, well, too good, but I don't think so. We will take a closer look at that. What I think is that this tank is good and in some parts really good, but it also has a lot of huge weaknesses that people only playing against it don't know. So, but before we get into this battle, I want to take a look at the armor of this tank and the shells that it gets. Okay, here we are looking at the IS-2, and you see that it's at a 6.0 battle rating, which is, especially for such a big gun, a quite favorable battle rating. But why is that? Well, the thing is, not only is the IS-2 very slow, it is also, for a heavy tank, really poorly armored. If you look at it from the front, 140mm of effective thickness, that's nothing. If you want to angle, you can't, because no, this is not angled. You can shoot through here easily. Same with the other side. The turret, well, also nothing. I mean, yeah, it is rounded, so it's probably the hardest to kill the IS-2 here. But the biggest weak spot of the IS-2 is actually this thing here, which also the modified version has. The modified version doesn't have the weak spot here, but still here. This is normally the spot where I one-shot every IS-2. Shoot here, he's dead. Why? Because every crew member is behind here. Normally people say that the Tiger 2H and the German tanks have a transmission in the front is a disadvantage, but I don't think so. If you shoot a Stug or a Tiger 2H down in the lower glacis, the shot will be caught by the transmission. Sure, you can move, but at least you're still alive. If you shoot the IS-2 here, the shot just shrapnels through the whole crew. Yeah, you're dead. And normally, because you can only take 28 shots, you fill your ammo. And then you have a lot of ammo in here, so if you see an IS-2 from the side, just shoot the turret. Just shoot the turret on the side and the IS-2 will explode. So armor-wise, the IS-2 is not great. If you see an enemy, you have to get the first shot, but at least then he will very probably be dead in one shot. Looking at the shells of this amazing gun, you don't really have much choice. This is the stock shell, which is in any way inferior to the second shell. This is actually such a great shell. It's the armor-piercing high explosive with ballistic cap shell. It bounces way less than the first shell and does have a little more penetration. And the explosive filler is even exactly the same. So you don't have any disadvantages. I always use this shell, but I know that there are a lot of people who use the HE shell, which at this tank is actually pretty good. If you shoot it at a shot trap of a turret or somewhere that it reflects down to, let's take a look, it does have 36mm of penetration, which certainly isn't enough for something like that. But here, you see 30mm. Okay, back into the battle. I want to talk a little bit about the IS-2, what it can do good and what it definitely can't do good. And, well, firstly, the gun of the IS-2 has really good penetration and it kills most of the enemy tanks in one shot. So, if you see an enemy, just shoot it somewhere where the shrapnel gets everywhere and you get a one-shot kill. That is the greatest advantage of this thing. But there comes the first disadvantage. The reload speed of this gun is about 25 seconds, which is a hell of a lot. So you can't fight more than one tank at one time, since the second tank will just flank you and kill you easily. That is why close combat is not really recommended with the IS-2. Sniping is also not the best thing to do. It's possible, but Russian guns don't have a lot of accuracy. Russian guns tend to, well, if you want to shoot somebody like a Tiger 2H, there's just a small spot you can hit on the turret. And, well, with the bad accuracy of Russian guns, you probably hit something else and it ricochets, and then you are reloading really quite a long time. So you can do it, but it's definitely not the best. At least then you can keep your tank in a good cover. So what you should do is take the IS-2 into medium combat, into medium range combat, or go into close range together with allies. That is why the best maps for Russian tanks, and especially for the IS-2, are city maps. It really struggles with hilly maps, and that is also due to the next big disadvantage, the gun depression. The gun depression is always bad on Russian tanks, but on the IS-2 it's even worse. Normally Russian tanks have like minus 5 degrees of gun depression, which is appalling. The IS-2 even has -3 only. That's nothing. That is why flat ground is the best you can do. That's why city maps are the best maps for the IS-2, but you don't always get city maps. Like here on Carpathians, I could have gone to the left side where the big hill is, but I would have struggled at so many points because I just couldn't get a shot at the enemy tanks. I would have been an easy target for the enemy. And yeah, like I said, the armor is really bad. They just have to shoot me one time into my lower glacis and I'm dead. So how do you play on those maps where you have hills and so on? Well, you should always keep as low as possible. If you get to know the maps, you know where are the lowest parts and you can still progress. And on this map, it's the right flank. I'm always keeping low, and even here where I see this Jagdpanzer 4 and he's a little lower than me, the -3 degrees just barely were enough to shoot him. And this part is even better because I don't have any flanks to my right or my left. It's just a passage through those rocky mountains. And I can engage one target at a time, and I even have teammates going with me. That is the perfect track, the perfect path to go with the IS-2. One thing I forgot to mention about the IS-2 is another great advantage, which is a really good reverse speed. It reverses at maximum of 16 km/h, which is really good. Even the later IS tanks still reverse with 10 km/h, which, yeah, well, the British only can dream of. But that is very important, because if you stand in cover, here on this map we are just progressing on and on. They are probably doing the same on the hill. It is just a matter of who will be quicker at the enemy point to capture it. But especially in urban maps, you are in cover and you peek out, shoot somebody, and then you want to get back into cover. And that is something you can do really well with the IS-2, because it firstly accelerates quickly in reverse, and it also gets to really good top speeds in reverse. Yeah, and that's something Russian tanks have as a good advantage, especially the IS-2. So shooting out of cover works perfectly with this tank. And well, that's pretty much game. From this time on, we will only go on to the B point, capture it, and there are some of the other guys flanking around and going into their spawn, and they can't do anything. So let's just get into the ratings and see how I think the IS-2 is performing at this 6.0 battle rating that it is. Let's first take a look at the survivability of the IS-2 heavy tank. Although it is a heavy tank, it doesn't have too much armor, so I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. The agility, well, although it accelerates quite quickly and is quite quick just going forward and backwards, the traverse rate is awful, and the turret rotation speed is decent, but still I'm giving it a 3 out of 10. The armament is amazing in its one-shot capabilities, but you only have -3 degrees of gun depression and a really long reload, so I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. The fun factor, it's pretty fun to drive out this tank. One-shotting every enemy tank is real fun. I mean, otherwise nobody would drive the KV-2 with this long reload and the other disadvantages. One-shotting is definitely fun, so I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. As a total rating, although many people say this tank is overpowered or what, I don't know, in arcade it's definitely better, but for realistic battles I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope I could help you decide whether to go for the IS-2 or the T-44 line first. Or, well, the tank destroyers, which I really wouldn't recommend. The IS-Us are just awful, and the rest is also not too good. Well, whether to go for the IS-2 or the T-44 depends on your playstyle. The T-44 lacks penetration, so... and it doesn't one-shot as much as the IS-2, but it's definitely a better flanker. It all comes down to, do you more like to play heavy tanks like one-shotters like the KV-2 or the T-34s? But I definitely like the IS-2, although the second one is definitely better. So, that's it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed and learned something, and bis zum nächsten Mal. And they are all just completely... They don't see us coming. They're completely on this one target, completely tunnel visioned. So there goes the second one. 3 kills already.